In the quietness of her room, Kadisha gazed at her tiny hands, barely 10 years old, with a heavy sigh. She found herself contemplating how her current physical frailty posed a hindrance to her desire to assist with even the simplest tasks, like wringing out a towel, which now proved to be a great challenge. This notion filled her heart with sorrow and a longing for the abilities she dearly missed. Lost in thought, she peered into the future, envisioning herself as a strong and independent woman. In her imagination, she possessed not only age but also the strength to be a reliable pillar of support for her grandfather. With each passing day, as her own strength waned, she increasingly relied on his assistance. Kadisha yearned for the day when she could offer him her shoulder, lightening his burden and bringing joy and serenity to their home. These reflections not only filled her soul with sadness but also fueled her unwavering determination. She understood that time was relentless, yet she firmly believed that each new day brought her closer to the moment when she could wholeheartedly care for her grandfather, despite his current frailty. Kadisha was brimming with hope and faith in a future where she would become the strong and affectionate granddaughter she aspired to be. With a tender and caring gesture, she gently placed the damp cloth on her grandfather's forehead, hoping to alleviate his suffering. Her thoughts drifted back in time to the days when she first discovered that her destiny was intricately tied to an extraordinary rebirth. 5 years ago, Kadisha unraveled the shocking truth about her existence, realizing that she had once been an entirely different person whose life had been abruptly cut short by a tragic car accident. A shocking discovery that completely changed her perception of reality. Upon awakening from death, she found herself not only in a new body but in an entirely different world, a world that had only existed in the pages of a novel she had once read. This realm was brimming with adventures, magic, and enigma, yet Kadisha found herself embodying the role of a simple girl, a character never highlighted in the main plot of that tale. As Kadisha, she did not transform into the heroine of grand exploits or tragic events penned in the book. Instead, her life became modest, filled with simple pleasures and caring for her loved ones. Despite the numerous challenges and obstacles that Kadisha encountered, she felt profound gratitude and contentment for her fresh start above all else. Having been a destitute orphan in the past, this unforeseen reversal of fate granted her a unique chance to begin anew, relishing each day and cherishing the moments of joy that life bestowed upon her. A decade ago, Kadisha's narrative took an unforeseen twist when she was abandoned at her grandfather's doorstep. Possessing a generous heart and an open spirit, he could not turn a blind eye to the girl's plight. Embracing her as his own granddaughter, he nurtured her, imparting life lessons and showering her with love. Growing up under the tutelage of her affectionate grandfather, Kadisha failed to grasp the hardships and trials she had to endure as he single-handedly raised her. Life in their humble yet snug abode was not only characterized by warmth and nurturing but also by the constant household chores and responsibilities that burdened the young girl from an early age. In an effort to instill independence and accountability in Kadisha, she was constantly engaged in domestic tasks, fostering within her a sense of duty and diligence. Despite struggling to breathe, Kadisha's grandfather mustered the strength to reach out to her. His weakening voice and difficulty in breathing couldn't conceal the care and excitement he felt, even at his weakest. With unwavering certainty, he assured her that his letter had been sent. Kadisha had suspected that the letter contained her grandfather's will, a document that he had shown concern for, causing sadness in her heart. As the week passed without a response, she realized the indifference with which his family had treated her grandfather's illness. She couldn't comprehend how blood relatives could be so apathetic towards a family member in need of support and involvement. Despite the pain and frustration surrounding her, Kadisha stood by her grandfather's side, providing him with the strength to smile. His heart overflowed with gratitude and joy for having her there. Kadisha's eyes reflected deep appreciation for his devotion, care, and love that had become her pillar of support. As her grandfather neared the end of her life, Kadisha's heart filled with anxiety and despair. She pleaded with her grandfather to stay with her, expressing hope for many more happy moments together. She remembered the warm promise he had made about attending a festival together, envisioning them on a sleigh, laughing and embracing each other, immersed in moments of joy and fun. These moments held the promise of being the pinnacle of their shared happiness. The grandfather's voice, filled with deep sadness, shattered the symbol of carefree happiness. Instead of making happy plans for the future, he confessed that their days were numbered and their time together was diminishing with each passing day. Kadisha's heart filled with pain as she listened to his longing and regret. She realized that while she was absorbed in dreams of adventures with him, she hadn't considered a life without his presence. In an attempt to console her, he assured her that he cared about her future until the very end. As he slowly closed his eyes, it was evident that the weight of his emotions was taking a toll on him. This moment was a mixture of deep despair and love for the man she cherished. In the warmth of the soft light, the funeral took place, enveloped in a heavy veil of sadness. With gratitude in her heart, Khadija placed flowers on her grandfather's coffin. Khadija found herself standing alone amidst the eerie stillness of the cemetery. It dawned on her that she was now embarking on a new chapter of her life, a journey she would have to undertake all by herself, without the guidance or support of her beloved grandfather. The thought of a future without his wise counsel and warm smiles filled her heart with both pain and uncertainty. However, just as she was lost in her thoughts, a voice shattered the silence, capturing her attention and offering a suggestion that could potentially change her life. This voice belonged to a young man who introduced himself as Jemian Parker, Duke Blasco's accountant. The sudden encounter with this stranger seemed to signify the beginning of something new and possibly life-altering. As Jemian Parker, representatives of the Blasco family, engaged in conversation with Khadija, a sense of bewilderment and shock washed over her. The Blasco family was not only known for their nobility and power, but also for the dark chapters of history that surrounded the last Duke of the Empire. It felt as though a whirlwind from the pages of a historical novel had descended upon Khadija's ordinary, gray existence, turning her perception of the world upside down. Amidst the impenetrable calm, Jemian presented a document from his briefcase, resembling a key that unlocked a door to another reality. He pointed out an unusual request in the will. Khadija's grandfather's coffin was to be relocated to the Duchy of Blasco. She had never imagined that her grandfather, a humble and unassuming man in her eyes, held such a hidden truth. She found herself lost in memories of her grandfather, reminiscing about his stories, his peculiar behavior, and those rare moments of deep contemplation. Opening the page of the will where her name was inscribed in black and white, Jemian unveiled to Khadija a world brimming not only with riches and influence but also with unprecedented opportunities. Visions of vast, magnificent estates, palaces, priceless artworks that she had only ever dreamed of, and sprawling business empires flooded her mind. The sudden responsibility of managing such opulence and wealth, as outlined in the will, altered her perception of the future in an instant. At a mere 10 years old, Khadija stood on the threshold of a new life as a millionaire. Jemian's offer to journey to the dukedom to initiate the inheritance process felt like opening the door to a new reality. Khadija pondered over it. However, as soon as Jemian mentioned that this was what the new Duke of Blasco desired, Khadija recalled something at the core of the plot, where intrigues and passions formed the story of Blasco. The newly appointed duke, whose swordsmanship skills were unparalleled, Blasco was the antagonist who had no equal in his cruelty and rejection of the world around him, to the extent that he did not even consider his own adopted daughter worthy of human attention. With her strong will and independence, Khadija had initially rejected the idea of joining the duke, as she had no intention of becoming a part of his world of abandonment and coldness. However, things took an unexpected turn when Jemian reminded Khadija of her inheritance, a sum substantial enough to challenge any belief. 1 million in cash and 100,000 per year. These figures sounded like music to her ears, promising a carefree life and independence. Despite her initial stance and her efforts to prove otherwise, deep down, she was tempted. Her assurances that money could not buy her were starting to lose credibility. Jemian, with a slight smile on his lips, excitedly shared the news with Khadija that she would soon become the proud owner of a magnificent mansion in the heart of the capital. The atmosphere around them buzzed with anticipation. Khadija's eyes lit up with joy, as if a wave of happiness had washed over her. However, Jemian, never one to lose his playful nature, he explained that in order for her dream to come true and for her to truly become the owner of the majestic mansion, she would have to travel to the duchy. As Jemian turned to look at Khadija, he was surprised to find her already fully prepared for the trip, lost in deep thoughts. Curled up in the soft cushions of the carriage, Khadija embarked on a slow journey towards her new destination. Her mind was consumed with reflections on the mysterious and exciting inheritance process that awaited her. Memories of her conversations with Jemian, who had unlocked the secrets of the past and introduced her to ancient customs and beliefs, intertwined with her thoughts. One particular moment stood out in her heart, when Jemian had mentioned the spirit of the hero, a powerful and enigmatic entity that held great significance in their family's traditions. He had explained that his words about the sacred soul referred to the soul of the previous head of the family. Even after passing away, the great ancestors of the dukedom had the remarkable ability to communicate with the living. The first leader of the prominent family engaged in a battle against the forces of darkness, ultimately triumphing over the Demon King in an epic duel. This legendary clash not only left a mark in history but also produced tangible evidence of the race's greatness and magic, a sword containing the essence of the defeated Demon King. The sword transformed into more than just a relic. It became a sacred duty of the Blasco family, safeguarded from enemies and the passage of time as part of an ancient pact between the clan's founder and the Demon King. However, this power came at a cost. Upon the family head's death, his soul merged with the invisible fabric of the duchy. This realization held a profound significance for Katisa, as it meant her late grandfather's soul, the former head of the family, still resided within the dukedom. The notion filled Katisa's heart not only with awe and sentiment but also with a profound sense of connection to a past that could now intertwine with her present life, offering new perspectives on her ancestral legacy. As Katisa became aware of her grandfather's soul's invisible presence surrounding her, stirring from its long slumber, a new chapter of understanding and interaction with her heritage unfolded before her. She immersed herself in thoughts of her own kind, her heart brimming with the profound realization that she was not alone in this world, despite her apparent isolation from her own lineage. These contemplations led her to recall the sole instance when her grandfather had unveiled the secret of his past. Adu, burdened with bitterness and heaviness in his heart, spoke to him about his children, reminiscing the words of his grandfather who had confessed that he had once been a father to 2 children, one of whom had a life cut short too soon, leaving behind only a painful echo. According to family legend, the loss in his grandfather's soul was of such complexity that not even blood ties could counteract the magnitude of his actions and decisions. This challenging fate ultimately led his grandfather to disown him and seek solace in seclusion, deep within the realms of silence, where he could find peace for his tormented soul. The moment Hemian disclosed the unexpected truth to Katisa that the newly appointed duke's sole inheritance was merely a title devoid of lands or wealth, she felt as though she had been struck. This revelation compelled her to reassess her own position in the situation, pondering her perspectives and possibilities within this new reality she found herself in. In these contemplations, she inadvertently recalled the protagonist of the novel, Neil, who was adopted by the Blasco family. Naila's story was rife with tragedy as she endured extreme cruelty as an unwanted stepdaughter. Unable to overcome prejudice and find her place within the family, Naila was compelled to depart from the confines of her kin. She planned to explore in search of assistance from the white cult, hoping to gain their support and understanding. Upon reaching their hideout, Naila unexpectedly found an ally in Ikal, a mysterious individual who possessed extensive knowledge of demonic artifacts and the ability to manipulate hidden forces. This encounter ignited a newfound hope and determination in Naila's quest for the demonic sword, a symbol of power that could drastically change her circumstances and provide her with the strength to achieve new feats. The story of Naila and Ikal abruptly halted at the most intriguing moment, leaving a lingering sense of uncertainty and numerous unanswered questions. This unresolved twist in their destinies weighed heavily on Katsuhia, who, inspired by Naila's journey, faced her own trials in the Blasco mansion without knowing what fate had in store for her. Realizing that her connection to the Blasco clan was not based on shared blood, she prepared herself to confront the same hostility and abandonment that Naila had endured. The memories of the insults hurled at Naila within the mansion's walls served as a reminder to Katsuhia of the challenging path that lay ahead. Overwhelmed by indescribable anxiety, she contemplated her future in Duke Blasco's castle, fearing that he would not hesitate to cast her out upon discovering her presence. In this whirlwind of doubts and fears, Katsuhia found the strength to approach Jamian with a question that had kept her in suspense, eagerly anticipating a meeting with the spirit of her grandfather,